Hello again. I'm Dr. TonyVercillo, your host, and this is episode 18 of Ask the Doc, Life Lessons You Should Have Been Taught in School. Hello again, and I can't wait to share with you the information that I'm going to talk about today. You know that a gentleman named Jason Reynolds once said that having a superpower has nothing to do with your ability to fly or jump or even have superhuman strength. The truest superpowers that we have are the ones that we all possess: integrity, trust, and most importantly, courage. Today's topic has to do with identifying both your superordinate strengths and your flaws or your weaknesses, your kryptonite, if you will. Every one of us does something really, really well, and most of us have something that we just really suck at. Well, the whole idea is to figure those out, to leverage your strengths and to somewhat minimize your weaknesses or get training to improve those weaknesses. It's also important that you know that you don't get results by focusing on the results themselves. You get results by focusing on the habits and the behaviors that produce those results. So what does that mean? Get on with it. Take action, stop procrastinating, and get her done. Okay, here goes. Let's first tackle your superpowers. That's what this episode 18 is all about. When we think of superpowers, you usually think of these types of abilities: speed, or your ability to be resilient in the face of challenges; X-ray vision, your ability to analyze a situation with a keen eye for detail; mind reading, because you are so sensitive to what others are feeling and are thinking; and finally, even mind control, which relates to your ability to persuade and influence others. Though that's what is seemingly, ostensibly, the superpowers that we would normally know. That being said, there are two categories of superpowers. That is your personal superpowers and your work-related superpowers. They overlap a bit, but the reality is we tend to behave slightly differently at work than we do in our everyday life. For personal superpowers, they tend to fall into 6 categories: empathy, or caring for others, or being selfless; resiliency, or bouncing back from adversity; curiosity, or endlessly asking the question, why, like a 2-year-old; sense of humor, or making people feel at ease; endurance, or your ability to go the extra mile; and then finally, strength, the strength of character and the strength related to never giving up. Your professional superpower is a talent or a skill that makes you stand out in your field, either innately or something you've honed through education and application. Typically, the kinds of superpowers that will cause you to skyrocket to the top of your company pyramid are as follows: systems thinking, creativity and innovativeness, being process-oriented, being decisive, and having some sort of strategic visioning, thinking about tomorrow, not just today. As for your kryptonite, these are the things that typically weaken our resolve: boredom, hypocrisy, politics, frustration, anxiety, and being micromanaged. The younger you are, the more likely these things will bother you and create all kinds of anxiety. So, what should you do next? Well, the first thing you should do is take a look at these things I just mentioned and rank yourself on a scale of 1 to 5, with 5 being you're really great at it. Then, of course, do whatever you have to do to get better at the things that you suck at, while leveraging the superpowers that you're good at in order to get ahead. Read books, do online research, and follow the prescription I give you here. In order to uncover your personal and work-related superpowers and your kryptonite, you gotta conduct some research. All right, first, take notice of what people say about you. What do your coworkers and your friends and those closest to you say behind closed doors? Most importantly, when you're not there, okay? And then at the same time, what keeps you up at night? So what do people say about you? And then what are the things that keep you up at night, the things that bug you, your kryptonite, so to speak? An example of this would be many of my coworkers call me the numbers guy, okay? That's become my superpower. I leverage it because I am fairly adept with numbers, and people have gotten to know that I ask the question about the key performance indicators, the ratios, key ratios, the finance, and the numbers. So as a function of that, I've become the numbers guy. Number 2, go online and take a free DISC test online. D stands for dominant, I stands for influential, S stands for steadiness, and C stands for compliance. The DISC profile is one of the best ones that's out there. It's used in organizational behavior classes all over the world. And the DISC profile will give you a primary and a secondary trait that you tend to exude. For example, I am an ID. My primary trait is I'm an influencer. However, my secondary trait is D. When I'm pushed into a corner, the Italian fangs come out. So it's important that you know what you're really good at and what you're bad at, and the DISC profile will help you uncover that. If you look at my profile, again, the ID, it translates into the fact that I'm affable, I'm an extrovert, and I'm some sort of a social butterfly. That secondary trait that I mentioned basically says, be careful when you push me. That's what it basically says. All right, number 3, after you've ranked yourself on a scale of 1 to 5 in those areas that are both kryptonite and superpowers, and you've taken your DISC test, start to be introspective by identifying the things that give you a shot of B12 in the arm, that energize you to a different level. For example, the thing that really gets me jazzed is watching others succeed. This is the cornerstone of this podcast. That is my insatiable appetite for helping particularly younger people. That's why I called the podcast Life Lessons You Should Have Been Taught in School. Number 4, turn your superpower into your personal brand by leveraging your strengths while mitigating your weaknesses. Once again, what I mean by turning it into your brand is leverage whatever you do extremely well. Once you've uncovered it and identified it, use that to your advantage. Now, according to a gentleman named Chris Lima, these 4 questions are most appropriate when you are trying to leverage your strengths while mitigating your weaknesses. All right, they are: what is something you can do without much effort that others typically spend 10 times as much energy accomplishing? Okay, I have always said, be my guest. You want to work 16, 18-hour days, go right ahead. I'd rather work 5 hours and meet you on the back 9 of the golf course. All right, next. What is something that you can do that surprises other people when they see it? For example, I have this ridiculous ability to spout off square root of numbers to many digits. I used to use it in bars and win all kinds of bets and stuff. I could also remember people's names, even if I have a crowd of 50 people. It's one of those odd sort of abilities that people tend to have. All right, now, in addition, what stresses you out or bothers you? Meaning, when others criticize or praise you, which of these remarks bug you? What kinds of things can you see way before others do? Like, that's a really big talent. If you are the type who can see the forest through the trees, you will be much better served. That's it for now, folks. Please remember to consider subscribing to the YouTube channel and becoming part of the Patreon family to get the secret episodes. As I mentioned earlier, the secret episode attached to the main session has a tip on improving your productivity in order to brandish your superpowers. As always, please leave me a review, a comment. Tell me what you'd like to see differently, what you'd like to see more of, what you dislike, what you like. And you know what? We can change the world if we change ourselves, one person at a time. We just need to get a hold of the old patterns of our inner voices and start trusting our superpowers. Signing off, this is Dr. V. See you next week.